Okay, cool. It's recording. So, starting with downloading Fusion 360, I sent you a download link in the Discord. Let me see if I can change this real quick. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? I think. Sorry, I'm not used to like two monitors. Yeah, in the Discord, you can go under resources, and there's a Fusion 360 downloader for both Windows and Mac. Make sure you select the correct one for your computer. I'm going to do it with all of you. So for me, I'm running a Windows machine. So I'm going to, just click this downloader. Yes, I know it's potentially dangerous. I made it myself. But this just helps you skip the process of downloading Fusion through their website, because sometimes when we have a bunch of people doing it, can cause problems. But once you download it, it'll just kind of open up like this. It may take a little bit, so you don't have access. Oh. Okay, 1 second. I will fix that. Okay. So now that you guys have it downloading, make sure you open the downloader. Like I ran the exe. If you're on Mac, run the DMG file, and then it should start, downloading and setting itself up. But while we wait for that, I can tell you a little bit more about the course and what we're learning. So in this course, you're going to be learning a lot of Fusion 360, which is a CAD tool that is very popular with us students and educators and hobbyists. It's very intuitive and user-friendly. Wait, I guess I can open this. And it has a cloud-based option, so you can collaborate with other people. So another thing you should do while we wait for Fusion to download is to create an account. So under the resources tab on the Discord, I put on the top Autodesk registration. You can click on that link, and then it'll allow you to create an account. For this, make sure you're using your Purdue email address, because they want to know that you're in school. If you're not at Purdue for whatever reason, just enter a working school email address and it should be fine. So for me, so you can just like, I don't know, make up some email. Yeah, I don't know. But for me, I already have an account, so I'm just gonna sign in. Maybe. Okay, yeah, so I already have an account. This is from high school, but it should work still. But you basically want to make an Autodesk account so you can access Fusion 360. So just let me know if you have any problems with that, and I can help you out. But yeah, a little bit more about the class. Again, this is a collaboration with Purdue Milestones. So they, have a big series of skill-based workshops, lots of hands-on stuff, and it will supplement your coursework. So this won't show up on your transcript, but it's a very enriching and hands-on experience that I find to be very beneficial. Another cool thing about this is if you complete the course, then you'll receive a digital certificate that shows that you're certified to use Fusion 360, and that's great to put on your LinkedIn profile or put it on your resume and all that cool stuff. So hopefully after all of you pass, you'll get it sometime after maybe a month or two after this course finishes. But our goal here is to help you understand the importance of CAD and why it's so useful for everything around us. And we want to provide you with the necessary tools to create models of your own. And then in the end, we want you to learn how to render these models and then even make them with a 3D printer. Here at ASME, because we're a collaboration with the Milestones program, we also like to prepare our members for success in the industry. We have workshops, all that fun stuff. We have many subgroups in ASME, so you can get hands-on experience with engineering or professional development. So some of the design teams we have here are small projects. A little while ago, we built battle bots, which was really cool. We get to work in a team and make really cool robots. But every semester there's a new challenge, and yeah, it's really fun. We also have sports equipment, sustainability, and Rube Goldberg. They all do really cool stuff. Sustainability, making water transportation, sports equipment, making other cool stuff. I was on small projects, so I know the most about it. But all of these different design teams do really cool stuff, and it's really awesome to hear about it. Some other design teams we do have a prosthetics and hydroponics team, as well as a Grand Prix team, which does go-karting and all that awesome stuff. We also have professional development opportunities. We can help you, clean up your resume and all that fun stuff. And we have a Slack channel if you ever want to join. And then, yeah, here are some of our connections and partners, and then a QR code for the Slack. I'm honestly not entirely sure if it still works, but if it doesn't, then I will send a link out after this class. So a little bit more about this course. There's 5 lectures. It's a 5-week course. If you're here, you're at the first lecture. And today, we're going to go into a quick introduction of CAD and, also making sure you're all set up with the software. And then next week, we're going to be diving into more advanced stuff. And then in the end, we're going to teach you how to 3D print stuff. It's going to be really fun, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Here's a little bit more of like a nitty-gritty breakdown of our course. It's separated into 4 different modules, and each one will have a couple assignments for you, progressively getting a little bit more difficult so you can learn more and more things about the program. And in the end, you will have a final project. All assignments are due, in 1 week after the lecture. And yeah, you need 210 points to pass. So anything more than that will get you a certificate. So the thing I just talked about, the final project, you want to be able to design your own model from scratch, no instructions. Then we're going to teach you how to render it and prepare it for 3D printing. There's some things that you can't have because you can't just copy one of the assignments. So please don't do the engineering fountain or a plane, but it must contain 3 design features. But those are some things that you'll be learning later on in the course. Here's some good examples of some of my favorite past final projects. These these 4 pictures here are renders of the final projects made by students who've taken this course in the past. And I'm looking forward to what you all make in the next few weeks. But yeah, we're gonna dive into the first module. So the first question is, what is CAD? So a long time ago, before computers were invented, people would draw up the designs on a paper, pen and paper, rulers, and all that fun stuff. But with the advancement of technology and computer graphics, some really smart people at MIT started doing all these design work on computers. And over the years, it got increasingly more powerful with the, rise in computing technology, and it brings us to what we have today. The CAD programs today can be very advanced, but it all starts from something very simple. And it usually starts from a 2-dimensional sketch, and then you'll expand it into a larger 3-dimensional object. A lot of CAD systems allow you to simulate things to see how strong they are, and they even help you program things for manufacturing, which is cool. And then, yeah, there's a host of CAD softwares out there today where this course is, highlighting Fusion 360, but there's a bunch of other ones out there like SolidWorks, which is one I use a lot. Autodesk Inventor is also very popular. Onshape is also something that's up and coming. Lots of people are using it. But Fusion 360 is a really good one to learn on because it's very intuitive. And honestly, once you learn one CAD software, it'll be a lot easier to learn the other ones. It's just kind of buttons move, but they all do very similar things and they all have very similar workflows. So the first assignment we're going to be doing is making some building blocks. But the first thing we need to do is make sure you all have Fusion 360 installed. So we can check over here. So for everyone who has had the installer running, it will open to this page, at least it should, and it'll ask you to sign in. So you want to sign in with that Autodesk account that we just made a while back. So for me, it'll open up, this is me, so just want to click through and it should open up for you. Is everyone on page here? I just want to make sure I'm not going too fast. I can't. Let's see. For me to see you guys. I don't know. I can only see the chat, so okay, so some people are still installing it. Yours says it's the trial version. Did you use your Purdue account when you did? Lovely. Okay. Yeah, so this is where you have a little bit of fun troubleshooting. It's not everyone's license works perfectly on the first time. For people with the trial version, it will work for now, but an expired license probably is not ideal. Let's see. I'm gonna stop the screen share for a second. Yay, more expired licenses. Okay. Let's see. So how many people have expired licenses right now? I see two, but are there more people who are having trouble getting a license? No. Yes. A lot of people are having the trial version. Okay. That's okay for now. I'm mostly concerned about the expired licenses. Yeah, that should be true. Okay. So for those who have expired licenses, um, did it let you create an account? Feel free to unmute yourself because I can't hear anything. Okay, re-downloading from the website. Thank you, Edgar. It's been a while since I've made my account, so I forgot about the confirmation email stuff. Is there anyone else having trouble? I think Sydney was having expired license. Does it work now? Oh, I see. Okay, so for those who say that it creates a team, it's since you're all making new accounts. Um, you can just kind of make up whatever you want, because you're just making a team for yourself right now. So you can just maybe call it like your personal profile or portfolio or something. But that just kind of helps Fusion set up its cloud system for you. And thank you for sending the screenshot. Okay, if anyone is having problems, you can feel free to share your screen and I can kind of help you through it, because it's kind of difficult to talk you through it over a chat. Normally these kinds of things are, or normally this class is in person, but it's summer, so um, that's not really possible. Um, okay, cool. That works. Is everyone who's going through the create a team thing, did that all work out too?
It asks for how would you like to start? Open a program sample file, program a path, create a design. I mean, which should I choose?
Um,
Like,
do you want to share your screen? Because I can't really see what's going on. It would be easier.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, this is good. Yeah, this is a good place to be. I believe if you go on the left, you click on new. Uh, you can probably just close that because I will be.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, very nice.
Oops.
Is there anyone else having issues? Oh, that's great. Let's see. So you used your Purdue email, I'm assuming. Is it maybe in your spam folder? Because I know Purdue does like the spam quarantine thing. Sometimes it could get caught in that, maybe. I'm just gonna make a quick poll so I know how many of you are set up. Okay, so let's see how many people are having problems. Okay. So there's 2 people that it says are having problems. Great. I'm guessing that's Ella. Is there someone else who's having a problem? Yeah, this is great. Also, I see that only 23 out of the 28 of you responded to the poll. So if any more of you are having problems, it would be great great for me to know so I can help you. It seems like Ella's a little bit unlucky today. There's always someone, and that is not your fault, so don't worry. Great. So who's the second person who said that their fusion isn't working? Because I can't help you guys if I don't know what's going on. I don't know for Ella, I don't know if you might need to wait for a little bit for those emails to come in. But for the other person, I don't even know who it is. Yes. If you're having problems, right, you kind of need to give me something to work with. Because if not, then we might have to move on and then sort this out afterwards. Okay, I'm gonna give it 1 more minute. And then if we can't fix these issues, then the people who are having fusion issues can stay after class, and then I'll try to help sort these out. Okay, well, for those who are having issues, I will help sort them out after class. But we kind of have to move on with uh, teaching. So yeah. Um, so yeah, your first assignment here is to create these 3 little building blocks. So I'm gonna run you through this. 3 basic shapes, and then we're gonna learn how to, color them, make it look nice. Okay, so this is Fusion 360. For those of you who have gotten it to work, this is kind of the workspace that you're going to be working with. So on the top left is your taskbar. It'll give you all the cool features that you can use to create your 3D models. And then up here,
Sorry.
unmuted. So up here, there's a data panel, and it'll allow you to create different projects. So it kind of works like a file explorer or finder or even like a Google Drive, but it's made specifically for Fusion 360. So over here, you see I have a couple projects over here. Lego car is something that we're going to be doing later in the course, but for now, you just want to create a new project up here, and you can name it whatever you like. And this is all cloud-based. So I'm just going to name it CAD Training Summer 2023. You can name it whatever you like. And then, yeah, we're going to start making parts. So over here on the kind of in the center here is basically where you're going to be designing all your parts. But you need to know how to manipulate all these CAD softwares so you can move around and kind of see what you're doing. So up here on the top right, it's called the view cube, and you can use this cube to rotate the model by holding down left click on the cube. You can see it pivots around the origin. But there's also many other ways you can do it. So I forgot to tell you guys, but it is highly recommended that you use a mouse when you're CADing, because you kind of need all the buttons. You're going to be right clicking, middle clicking, and left clicking. So you need all 3 buttons. If not, it's possible to CAD with a trackpad, but it just makes things more time consuming and a bit more annoying. So the default settings for Fusion 360, so if you want to zoom into your model, you just use the scroll wheel. You see these squares are getting bigger because it's zooming in and out. To pan, which is going left and right, you're going to hold the middle click button just like that. And then to orbit, which is what we were doing with the view cube, the shortcut for it is to hold the shift key and then also press the middle button, and you see it'll start rotating around the origin. How do you move back to the origin? Okay, well, if you move too far or if you panned, you can hold the middle click button and then it'll move side to side. But if you accidentally went too far in one direction, a good way of getting back is just clicking one of the side views on the view cube, and it should help you get back to the origin. But yeah, that's just kind of the basics of navigating around. And you're going to be moving a lot because when you make more complex models, you're going to be wanting to see everything that you're doing. Okay, so now that you kind of know how to move around or manipulate your models, we're going to start making the model itself. So, back on top, you see this big taskbar with a bunch of cool little symbols. The most important one that you're going to start with is a sketch. So almost every 3D model is going to start with a sketch, and it basically is the foundation for all the things that you're going to make. So in this case, we're making a 2D sketch. For the most of the time, they will be 2D, and then we can use all these other functions to make it a 3D object. So to start, you're just going to click on the top left on create a sketch, and you see when you hover over things, it will kind of pop up. If you sit there long enough, it'll kind of tell you what each function does for most of them. So the sketch is really important, and you always want to start by making one. So we're just going to click create sketch, and you see it'll give you a couple options because you're working in a 3D space, so you need to specify which plane that you're working on, because a sketch needs a plane to start. So you see on the view cube, you can see it's like the different axes are colored. But for this one, I'm just going to choose the XZ plane. You see the red and the blue. So it's this one right here. And then it'll shift the view so everything's nice and flat. And then now that you're in a sketch, you'll see a bunch of other tools for you to draw your model. So in this case, we're going to be making a really simple cube. So you can see there's a rectangle tool. And you can choose it by just clicking on it. And you always want to start you always want to start your sketches on the origin because it'll give you a nice concrete starting point. The origin is basically the only defined point when you first start making a model. So this little center thing is the origin. And now that you can make a rectangle, you just click on the origin and you just drag it out. And you see this rectangle right here, I'm making it. And then, you know, let's just say I want it to be about this big. And now you see it's a rectangle. So what's kind of cool is you see that 2 of the lines are black and the other 2 lines are blue. And that shows that these lines are defined. So these lines are running along like the axes of the planes. So they're defined. And when you're CADing, it's very important to define every single part of your sketch, because if you don't, you can just drag it around. But if you're making a part that needs to have specific lengths, you want to specify that. So to do that, there's a sketch dimension tool up here, and you can select it, and you can select certain things that you want to dimension. So in this case, this line is blue here. I want to change it. So I click on it, and you see it gives me a number. So in this case, it's 14 millimeters. If I click this, I can enter whatever number I want. So in this case, I'm going to just choose 10 millimeters. And now you see the distance between these 2 lines have been defined. No, so I just saw a question in the chat. You do not need to have the same dimensions for credit for most of these assignments. Units, I will get to that. But yeah, so the dimensions don't have to be exactly the same as mine for most of these. We just want you to choose your own and kind of get creative. So as long as it looks similar to what we're doing today or during other demos, then you'll get full credit. The main thing is we want you to learn how to use these tools, and it's less about it being exactly the right dimensions. And I'll get to units in a second. So you see these 2 lines are black now, they're defined. Okay, yeah, for the free trial, we'll work with you on that. When you create an account, sometimes it'll just give you a free trial for no reason. I don't really know why. It's just kind of weird. But yeah, so for now, I'm going to define these 2 lengths, these 2 distances. I'm also going to make this 10 millimeters. And now we have a square. All the lines are black, so it's fully defined, and that's what we like. If you want to change the units, I saw in a question, you can go here under document settings and you can go under units. I think like double click it or something. Change active units. There you go. So right now I'm using millimeters, but you can change it to inches or whatever you like. I just personally like millimeters, but I'm not concerned about units or dimensions for any of these assignments. So if you like inches, go for it. If you like millimeters, go for it. If you want to CAD in miles, that's fine too. But now we're going to go back to the sketch. You see the sketch is fully defined. And you saw that I was dragging the little blue lines before, but now if I try to drag it, it doesn't move anywhere, and that's good. So this is the geometry we want. It's a 2D sketch. It's a nice square, you know, that's what we want. So when we're finished designing the 2D profile, you're going to go up here on the top right and press Finish Sketch, and that'll just finalize it for you. And now if we orbit around, you can see it's just a square. It has no volume at all. It's just a square, just like on a piece of paper. But this is where CAD gets really cool, because we can take this square and we can make it 3D. So now that we have a square, we're going to use this tool called the extrude tool. So it's right next to the sketch tool. And if you click on it, in this case, it'll automatically select our square for us under the profile. And now we can specify the distance. So distance here is basically how much you want to extrude your sketch. So in this case, I want to extrude this square to be a cube. And since the other two lengths were 10 millimeters, I'm going to change this to 10. And now we have a cube. Does that make sense to everyone? Everyone on board? Anyone having issues following this? Okay. Because no one's saying anything in the chat, I'm going to assume everyone's on board. So that's great. So now we have a nice cube, nice and square. It's not wonky at all. If you ever want to hide your bodies, Fusion 360 calls them bodies, but basically, if you have multiple different objects, you can hide them. So in this case, this body, they call it body 1, but you can hide it and then show it again. So now we're going to make a cylinder. So it's a very similar process, just one new tool. So again, you want to create another sketch and you want to select another plane. Make sure you specify the plane. So here I'm going to be using the same plane here. It's the XZ plane. And now it shifts the view for me so I can see it nice and just like a nice top-down view. So next to the rectangle tool, there's the circle tool. And that's how we're going to make our cylinder. So we can place it anywhere we like. I'm just going to place it over here. And you see it's blue again. So our goal is to make that into a black circle. So I put it on this red line. So as you can see, if I try to move it, or, oh wait, no, it's not defined yet. But you can see I can move this circle anywhere I like. And I want to constrain it as much as possible. So for this, I'm just going to click the center of the circle and maybe click the edge of the square. And I'm going to say, I want this circle to be 20 millimeters away from this edge. And I also want this, sorry. So you see, now I can't move it closer. So now I'm selecting the top edge and the center of the circle. And I'm going to say I want this to be 10 millimeters. So now it's back on this red line. And now you can see the center point of the circle right here, it's black now, but the circle does not have a dimension. So we can change that by using the sketch dimension tool again. Click on the circle, click again. And let's say I want this circle to be 20 millimeters. And this will give it a diameter of 20 millimeters. So now this is, black again, everything is closed, everything is good. I like this, so I'm going to finish the sketch and extrude it again. And this time, I'm going to extrude it, let's try 30 millimeters. And you see, it's 30 millimeters. Another way you can change the extrusion distance is by dragging this little arrow over here. That's pretty cool, but for me, I personally like writing in the number because it's more exact. And you'll find that there's many ways of doing the same thing in CAD softwares, and it's really up to you. But there are also more efficient ways of doing it. So there's no right and wrong. As long as you get the final product, you can CAD. But there are suggested ways that we have you CAD, and they will be shown. We'll teach you those in upcoming assignments. But for now, I'm just going to set this to 30 millimeters. And now you see we have a nice cylinder next to our square. You can't sketch. All right, so now that we have our square and our cube and our cylinder, we want to make the last piece. So the last piece kind of looks like this. It's like one of those bridges. So now it's time to make that. And a really good idea when you're CADing these things is you want to start your sketch with the face with the most amount of complexity. So you see here, if you started the sketch on this side, it would just be a square, and then you might have to do another operation to create this little arch. But you can be more efficient by choosing this face as your starting face to sketch. So we're going to do that now. So again, you want to create another sketch, and you see here, we're selecting the planes again, these little orange squares. So in this case, I'm going to just hide this square body just in case, so I don't want to select it, but you totally can. In this case, I don't want to, but you select the plane. So instead of selecting the top plane, I'm going to be selecting the side plane. So one over here, it's the XY plane. And now you see all of these are sideways. So now let's create our little arch. So I'm going to first start with a nice rectangle. I'm going to put it over here. And then let's define it real quick. So define this distance I wanted. So I'm going to click on this and that, and I want this to be 10 millimeters away. And let's say I want this, the height of this little arch to be 20 millimeters. And I want this to be 40 millimeters wide. And then you see these are still blue because these lines aren't defined. So you want to define that. In this case, let's say I want this line to be, or I'm going to choose this point actually. And I'm going to choose this point to be 10 millimeters away from this point on the cube. So now you see the rectangle is nice and defined. And now we can start making the arch. So over here, you see there's the circle tool, just like we used for the cylinder. And let's find the center. So here in Fusion, it kind of tends to have like this little snap. So you see it'll kind of help you find the center. So here, let's just make another circle. And then let's dimension it. Let's say 30 millimeters. So everything is nice and defined. Everything is black, and that's good. But you see there's a bunch of overlapping lines. And now what's really cool is one of my favorite tools, the trim tool. And it'll allow you to trim these lines, and it'll kind of stop it at the intersections. So over here, you can see right here, it's like purple. And if I click on it, it goes away. So it's stopped right here at these intersections. And I can also click this one, and it'll also go away. But you see, now that we trimmed away this line, this circle can't move freely because it was defined by the center of the line, but now we deleted the line. So we can go and fix that by dimensioning this. And you can also use math, I believe. So if you do like 38 divided by 2, it will center it for you, and it will do the math for you, which is also very nice. But now you see everything is nice and defined. We can go ahead and extrude it again, finish the sketch. Gonna extrude it, let's say 15 millimeters this time. And now, there we go. We have our 3 bodies. This one's just kind of floating in midair, but that's what I specified. And that's basically the first assignment. The only other thing that you can do that we'll teach you now for this one is coloring it. So you see all of these are gray. They're not really nice and colorful like these. You can change that by going under bodies, I believe. You right click, you change the appearance. So you click on appearance. Might take a second to load. But Fusion 360 has a library of appearances that you can use. So if you're, let's say you're CADing a car and you design the windshield, you could say, oh, like I want the windshield to be made out of glass because that's what most windshields are made of. And you can choose the materials, and then it'll also make the model look like that. So in this case, I just kind of want to color it. So I'm just going to choose paint. Let's do, I don't know, a nice pearly, yellow, right? And you can drag the property that you want onto the model. And now we have a yellow cylinder, right? Now let's say I want a green square. I can do that too. And now for whatever reason, I want a blue arch. So there you go. To hide this, you can press the minus button, or you can also press this arrow over here. But yeah, that's about it for the first assignment. For submissions, what I would like for all of you to do is to just take a nice screenshot of your model. For the next few weeks, it's going to be very important that you have the timeline in your screenshot. So the timeline is here on the bottom, and it basically kind of shows me the steps that you took to get your model. And for some of the assignments, there is kind of a certain way we want you to do things, and that will help me see that you're doing it correctly. So you can see here, this little line allows me to go back, or it allows you to go back and hide certain things in your timeline. and it will kind of show you your progression and how you designed it. You can even press the play button, and then it'll kind of show each operation that you've done. And it's really cool to watch when you have a very complex part. But these are just basic shapes, so they just kind of pop up. But yeah, that's basically how this works. So the basics, this is your first assignment. If you want to save it, you can press here on the top left. You can save it whatever you like. So then one, name it that for now. And then you can choose the location, in the project. So here it's CAD training summer 2023, because that's what I named it. Then you just press save. Computer will do some thinking, and then there you go. Your assignment is named, or your file is named, and you can keep it forever. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, well, since no one has any questions. Oh, where do you submit assignments? Okay, the sketch button. So the sketch button is in the top left. It's this little black and white one with the plus in the corner. If it doesn't show up for you, you may have clicked on one of these top menus. You want to make sure you're under the solid one, and that will help you create solid models. You made one of the shapes on the wrong axis, on the wrong axis. That's not a problem. I mean, as long as the shapes aren't like phasing through each other, that's not really what I'm concerned with. The main point of this assignment is just so that you understand how to extrude and color stuff and dimension stuff. So wrong axes is totally okay. For submissions, I haven't created a submission link yet. I will do that tonight. But it will likely be like a Google form or something like that. But just make sure you compile all your assignments. Just make sure you take screenshots of all of them and have them on hand for when the submission link comes out. Because yeah, I still need to make it. But does anyone else have any questions? And if not, then I will move on to the next assignment. So for these, we have in-class demos. We're going to be doing a couple more, but you also will have homework where I will not be doing it in class, and it'll allow you to kind of try to work independently and more creatively. Edgar, we're gonna submit it on a Google form, but I just haven't made it or sent out the link yet. So I will do that later today or sometime later this week. Yeah. But yeah, so that was the first assignment. If you all were paying attention, then you should be getting 100% on this. And this is why we encourage you to come to class, because it's a lot easier to help you. So for the next assignment, we're going to be making a nice hammer. Oh, 9 cap, nice. So we're going to be doing, very similar things, but now we're going to be combining bodies. So over here, you see these bodies are just all separate, but you want to combine them. All right, so I'm going to make a new design. So if you want to make a new one, you can just click up here on the plus on the top right. And now you can start with a blank canvas again. So just like before, you want to start with a sketch and you want to fully define it. So top left, create sketch. In this case, I want to choose the top plane again, just because I just want the hammer to be vertical. But again, it's okay if you choose another axis or another plane. It's no big deal. Here, I'm going to select the circle for the handle. And now we have a circle. The point is defined because we put it on the origin, but we want to define the diameter. So let's just say we want this hammer to be like, I don't know, 30 millimeters in diameter. So now we have a nice circle, just like before. Finish sketch. I'm gonna extrude it. And this time we're gonna extrude it a little more. Let's say maybe 70. Again, I'm gonna zoom out, pan, make sure I can see everything. Why don't we do 100? And you see it automatically selects new body because there's no bodies till now. So you just press OK. Now we have a nice start to the handle. And now instead of building or instead of making a sketch from one of the planes on the origin, we can create new sketches on other surfaces. So in this case, I want the start of the hammer to be on top of this circle. So I'm going to select this circle to be the plane, and now we can build off of that. How can you edit extrusion length? Okay, I will go back and fix that or show you. So if you want to ever go and edit things in your previous sketches, this is why CAD is so powerful, because you can go back and change things whenever you want. So over here in the timeline, you see these little squares here, not the blue ones, but these blank squares. These are all your sketches. So right here is the original sketch for the circle. And if you want to double click on it, you can edit it. So let's say I went back and I decided that I want the handle to be thicker or thinner. So we can go and edit the sketch. We can go to this dimension. We can change it. Let's say I want it to be 20 millimeters. And then if I finish the sketch, you see it'll automatically change it and everything is nice. This is also something you want to keep in mind when you're CADing more complex parts. You want to design things to be very easily like adjustable. So making certain things highly dependent on each other, we'll be going over these things a little bit later. But when you get into like certain like dimensionings with geometric features, you can kind of break the model if you're not careful. But it is a good idea to design with changeability in mind, so you can go and edit your parts later. So now let's say, now that we changed this, we can go back into our other sketch. So sketch 2 is the empty one with the hammer or the hammerhead that we were going to do. We want to make a rectangle again. So before we were using the 2-point rectangle, and it basically would make a rectangle from like one vertice to the other, and you just kind of stretch it out from the corners. There's multiple rectangle tools, and you'll see there's a bunch of other tools here, but here we're going to be using a different rectangle tool. So there's a 3-point rectangle tool, and there's a center rectangle. And this one is one of my favorites because you can specify where you want the center of the rectangle to be, and it'll build out a rectangle around it. So I want the center of the rectangle to be centered on the cylinder. So I just click the center, and you see now it can create a rectangle that is defined by the center of the circle. And this is also a good idea, or a good way to show construction geometry. So you see these lines here, these dashed lines, they're construction lines, and they're purely for helping you add constraints. We'll be going over constraints next week, but these construction geometry will can help you define the other lines or features that you have. So like these lines are defined at these points because these construction geometries are like that. But that's a little bit into next week. So for now, I'm gonna dimension this. Say I want this to be 150, that looks pretty good. Maybe want this to be a little bit thinner, so maybe like 60. Now we have general hammer shape, and we can finish the sketch. So now we have, as you can see, this sketch is floating above the origin because we defined it on the circle right here. But now we want to make it something solid in 3D, so we're going to extrude it again. In this case, they want you to select the profile because now that there's multiple different features, you need to specify it. So in this case, I want to select this rectangle, and I want, let's say, this 60 millimeters. Oh, so now that you see there's a little hole, and it's because I didn't select the inside on this circle. So if I click on that, it makes this solid. So you want to make sure you select the right profiles that you want so you get the right model. And then over here, you can see the operation type. So in this case, it automatically selected the join feature, and that's because you want this hammer part to be connected to the cylinder and for it to be one body. So if we go into extrude again, I'm going to do that again. 60, oops. If you want to edit, you can also edit the extrudes or other features. But yeah, so it's using the join feature. So it will combine the body of the rectangle and the cylinder. There's a bunch of other ones. So new body will make it a separate part. Intersect just kind of, creates this. It all tells you what it does. And the cut feature, this is something that will be important for later. But the cut feature will basically allow you to make negative extrusions and remove material instead of adding it. But in this case, I just want to join it. So now we have this funky looking hammer. It's a little bit big. And again, you can edit your sketches. So I'm going to edit the sketch. Maybe, yes, it is a goofy union. Let's say I want this to be like 120 instead. Computer will think maybe this side needs to go on a diet too. Do like 40. And then if you change the sketch, you see it will change the body. And now you want to make the nice top, the top of this right here. So there's multiple ways of doing it. So you could create another sketch, draw another circle, all that fun stuff. But another thing you can do let's say, so instead of setting this at 100, let's set this to 200. So now it looks really tall and really goofy. But what you can do is you can change this to go the other way. So you see here, it's starting on the profile plane, which means it starts on the plane with the circle on it, but we can probably offset this. So let's say we want the nub on the top of the hammer to be like 10 millimeters tall. So we can set the offset to 10 millimeters. Oops, wrong way. So you see it's offset by 10 millimeters. We actually went the wrong way. Let's go -10. And now you see the hammer is starting 10 millimeters below the top of the cylinder. And then you can also make it extrude the other way. So let's change this to -60. And now you see it creates the top. And it's only 2 operations. In this case, you want this to join. So you want it to be one body. Press OK. And you see now you have this hammer. But again, there's many ways of creating this. Could have added another sketch and another extrude on top, but this is just another way to do it. And you know, that's just showing you that, again, there's so many ways that you can make these models, but there are more efficient ways, like this way. And to finish off this hammer, you see these edges are very sharp. And if this were to be in real life, you would definitely cut your hand on every single corner. But in reality, most people add fillets to things. So you see everything, like if you hold up on your phone, all the edges have a nice little round to it. And it's called a fillet. So there's a fillet tool here. And what you would want to do is you select all the different edges. So in this case, I'm just going to select all the edges on the hammer part. And again, you can use all the panning tools or even the view cube over here. But now you see all the edges on the hammer are blue, which is good. And then you can specify the amount that you want to fillet. So let's say I want like a 1 millimeter fillet. And you see now each corner has a little bit of a round. And let's say I don't think that's enough. Let's change it to 5. And now you see the little round is more pronounced. And now it's looking more like a more normal hammer. So then you can press OK. And there you go. Now you have hammer fillets on it. And yeah, you're good to go. You can whack people with it if you make it. Does that make sense? Anyone confused? Any questions? All right, cool. So if there's no questions, I'm just going to save this real quick. We can do the final walkthrough for today. And I know we're starting to run out of time. We might be going a little bit over today. And if you guys have to leave, that's okay. The meeting should be recording right now. So you guys can watch it after if you have to go. But anyways, the last assignment that I'm going to be demoing today is making a little game piece. I'm basically going to make a goofy little pawn for like a chess set. But yeah, before I do that, I'm just going to go over the homework for people who might have to leave soon. So the homework today or this week is to create a chair. So using all the functions that I taught you today, you should be able to make your own chair in Fusion 360. So, you know, you want it to have 4 legs. You can even make a seat cushion, but make sure you use, you know, make sure you utilize the extrude and the fillet tool. And you see, you can even use like negative extrusions to cut things out. But yeah, that's basically your homework assignment this week. It shouldn't be too hard. If you have any questions, remember there's the Discord with homework help. If it's not available, then I will fix this. This is my first time making a Discord server, so I apologize. But if you have any questions about homework or anything else, feel free to throw it in homework or general. Yeah, for homework help makes more sense. But anyways, I'm going to go back to this final demo for today. I'm going to make this chess piece, and it involves one new tool, the revolve tool. So create a new design. We're going to create another sketch. So get used to making sketches because there's a lot of sketches in CAD. So this case, I chose one of the side planes instead of the top one. So you see I'm on the front plane this time. And now we can make our little game piece for chess. So I'm gonna just use the line tool for this for some of it. So I'm gonna start at the origin. You can see making a line straight up to about here. And you see this line is black because it runs along this axis, but this little point on the end is open, which means it's not defined. So you want to define the length. Choose 140. And then you can make some other lines. So I'm going to go out sideways and maybe a little bit up. Oops. And then we're going to be using another tool. It's called the arc tool. So this is basically making partial circles. But again, there's many ways to do this. You can use the circle tool and then use the trim tool. But for now, I'm going to use the arc tool. So I chose the 3-point arc. Basically, I choose one point, an end point, say right here, and then it'll allow me to create an arc. So I want to specify the last one to be, say, just about there. Now we have a little arc that we can play with. Then I'm going to make another line that will let me. There you go. And circle. Actually, no, I want to make another arc just for fun. So I'm going to select here and here. And it's another arc. And then now you see, before we were working with, you know, closed shapes already. So when you made the shape, it automatically is closed. I'm gonna undo real quick, Control Z or Command Z. But you see, before I made that arc, this space was white. And that shows you, it tells you that it's not a closed, it's not like a closed loop. So you see, you know, there's a gap between here and there. And this will be useful if you're making a very complex thing and you can't figure out why it's like not extruding. It won't extrude if the part is not closed. So you see it's highlighted blue because it's closed. That's good. But now there's a bunch of blue lines. So that's not defined. Now we can go in and define it. So we're going to here use some more dimensions. 30 is fine. Change the distance here. And make this, specify the radius of this arc to be 35. The distance between these two, let's just put that to 35 as well. And let's see. There's no vertical distance specified, so we can add another dimension here. Make that 50. Make this 30. Nice big head, maybe too big. 20. And you see, you can kind of, when the lines are blue, you can kind of manipulate it to be a little bit more your liking. You can find lots of dimensioning. Try to make these lines blue. I mean, black, sorry. Okay, that's fine. So now you see this whole thing is nice and defined. It's not the prettiest looking chess piece, but you see it's kind of like half of a chess piece, right? And it's because we're going to use the revolve tool. The top of this is going to be kind of weird. I'm actually going to fix that right now. I'm going to try to change it to a circle, shall we? So you see we made the circle. Yeah, trim this right here. Oh, shoot. So you see it trimmed it all the way around, but we want it to continue. We want it to stop here. I'm going to add another line. And then we can trim it. And then I'm going to trim this too. And now you see it's kind of like half a chess piece. Probably better. There we go. So you see it only looks like half a chess piece. And normally what we've been doing is we've been extruding it. But if we extrude it, it just makes it look like some weird Lego man's leg. So that's not what we want. What we want to do in this case is revolve it. So next to the extrude tool is the revolve tool. And instead of making it go out in one direction, it will actually make this sketch go in a circle. So in this case, it automatically selected that sketch for us as the thing that we're revolving, but then you need to tell it that you need to specify the axis of rotation. So it's basically like a vertical axis that you want the model to spin on. So in this case, I want it to spin around here. So if I click the center, it will spin it around, right? But, you know, if you click another one, it'll make it look entirely different, or this one, right? So you want to make sure you specify the axis. And this is also where construction geometry can be useful. I'm just going to go off on a quick tangent here. Well, let's say I want to create a construction line, so I'm making a line. Over here, you can set as construction. And I'm going to make, this vertical line right here, just kind of floating in space. I'm not going to define it for now, just for simplicity. But if I went to revolve it, you can select construction geometry as like an axis of revolution. So for here, if I select it, it will revolve this around this point and it'll be hollow. But I mean, that's not what we want. So I'm just going to delete this and make this into a real chess piece this time. So back to the axis, I want to click the center one, revolve it around, new body, and it's rotated 360 degrees. So you can change this for other things like 180, and it'll give you half a chess piece, but in this case, we want 360. And there you go. Now you have a chess piece. The final thing for this chess piece, we're going to show you how to use the text tool, which is kind of cool. So we're going to create another sketch. And this time I'm going to select this bottom face instead of these planes. And let's say you want to write your name on something. So there's a text tool, Fusion 360. Kind of click where you want the text to be. And you can write stuff. So in this case, it's just very simple. We're just constraining it in a rectangle, but it's pretty cool. You can make the text kind of go along like a path. So if you made like a spline, which is basically kind of like a free-formed line, it's kind of like squiggly, it's kind of cool. You can make the letters follow that. But for now, for simplicity's sake, I'm just gonna leave it as just normal text. You can even change the font if you want. I don't know. Where's Comic Sans? There we go. No. Yeah. And then you can, change the height, 15. And you can even change the distance between the two, or between the letters. So I can change it to 4, makes it wider. Also like some weird flippy stuff, but yeah, lots of options. Then you can just press OK, finish the sketch. And then if you want to imprint on it, you can make a negative extrusion. At least you should be. Doing it right. There we go. So you see, I selected the sketch, selected the text, and if you make a negative extrusion into the bottom of this piece, you can set it as the cut operation. You set it as OK. Then it will cut out the text into the chess piece. See there. And the negative extrusion will work on every sketch. So it doesn't have to be text. You can make a negative extrusion for a rectangle and have like a cutout. But yeah, that's kind of how all of that works. And that's another completed assignment. Does anyone have any questions? Am I talking? No one? You guys can hear me, right? I'm not just like dead. Yes, Ben. It would be great if you could submit 2 screenshots for the chess piece one, just so I can, see the chess piece on the bottom, or your name or whatever text you would like on the bottom. Yes, that would be great. I will have more detailed instructions for submissions when I send out the form. I mean, no, it doesn't have to be. I just kind of chose that as a spot, and I actually haven't ever seen anyone put it somewhere else. But, if you want to be creative and put it somewhere else, that's totally okay. And, I'm not going to dock points on you for putting it on the top or on the side. Just as long as you know how to use the tools. That's the main thing for this class. You can get as creative as you like. I've seen some people make really intricate chess pieces. Like someone made like a whole chess set once. It was really cool. But yeah, I will say this class, I don't know if you read on the welcome letter. I don't know if you can see it. I'll fix that in a bit. But this course is very much a you get what you put in kind of course. So if you really want to dive in and get really creative and push yourself to, really fully utilize the CAD software, then you will learn a lot. But if you just want that piece of paper on your resume and you just want to do the bare minimum, you can pass as well. But yeah, I mean, I personally really enjoy CADing. So, it's fun for me, but for other people, it might be a chore. But just know that I'm here to help you. If you want to, try to do something more than what we're doing, I'm happy to dive into that. But as long as you follow the general rules, they're very loose. We're very relaxed here. So as long as you follow them, then you'll be very successful in this class. This class is not difficult by any means, especially with the walkthroughs. It will get more challenging, but I'm here to support all of you if you ever need any help. So just reach out. The main problem with or the main challenge that a lot of people have had in the past is they don't reach out for help, and then they end up getting behind in the course and they don't end up finishing it. So I want all of you to pass. So if anything is challenging for you, just let me know. I'm here to help you. But yeah, I just hope you enjoy this as much as I am. This is my first time teaching this course on my own. So there will be bumps on the way. But I hope that you can bear with me and at least try to enjoy your time. But yeah, that's about it for today. Just some final small things to go over, make sure to use your time wisely. This course isn't very challenging and it's not a massive time commitment. So as long as you, do your assignments, you should be able to get it in on time, ask questions. Assignments due the Wednesday after class. So just, about one week to do everything. And I basically did, I did 3 of the 4 assignments for you right here. So you have 1 week to do it. For now, I will not be accepting late work just because I'm only one person and there should be 40 of you. And you know, I have a life, you all have a life as well. And I would like to grade all the papers at once instead of randomly throughout the week. So I would appreciate it if you don't, or I would appreciate it if you turn things in on time. That makes grading a lot easier for me, and I thank you in advance. Just remember, if you miss an assignment, don't worry too much. I mean, there's 300 points in this course and you only need 210 to pass. So it's not too difficult. If you miss an assignment, it's not a super big deal. And if you have any other issues or, you know, maybe you have a scheduling conflict, please let me know. Before you go, I would like to take attendance. So I believe under course material, there's an attendance form. If you haven't filled that out, please do it now just so I know who is here. Because there's a bunch of people on the wait list and a bunch of people not here. So yeah, I would like to get as many people in and out of this course as possible. So taking attendance will really help with that. That being said, I'll just say attendance is mandatory in quotation marks because I know it's summer. You guys all have lots of stuff going on. A lot of you have internships. A lot of you have other jobs. I myself work and I'm not teaching CAD. So I understand. I would just really like you to let me know just so I know what's going on. So if you're gonna miss class for any reason, just send me a DM on Discord. It's not a big deal at all. All these meetings are recorded and I can help catch you up later. But just, yeah, just let me know. Just so I know that you're not just not doing anything. But then if someone, if you don't respond or if you don't let me know, then I will find someone else who may enjoy this class, who is on the wait list. So yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much, we're just pretty much good to go. 4:30 on the dot, that's great. The recording will be posted on YouTube. I'm after this meeting, I'm gonna, you know, kind of maybe cut it a little bit, make sure it's nice and crisp because there's some times where no one was talking. So I'll just I'll cut it. It'll be on our YouTube channel, the ASME YouTube channel. And when it's uploaded, I will post it in, you know, course material. I'll post it somewhere in the Discord so you guys can reference it later. But yeah, thank you for great first week. Can't wait to see all your assignments. If you have any issues, feel free to stick around. And I will try to help you out with that. Yeah, thank you.